Hi, Sifu, Slim, and Steve, and we're back with some more information for you. So we're talking about avoiding sugar. Why do you want to avoid sugar? Well, sugar spikes your insulin, and that's another factor in low testosterone. Insulin is one of the biggest deals in the news, especially since the 80s, and we've got lots of people that are developing diabetes and type 2 diabetes and having all kinds of problems with inflammation. Insulin resistance is a huge problem. So any thoughts on that, sugar and insulin?
Well, there's a big difference between how your body reacts to simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. But and most people know about that sort of thing. It's very different when you're having, say, oatmeal than if you're having sugar puffs or something like that, because mostly that's just added sugar. You don't have any of the fiber or anything like that. It's still, even oatmeal is going to spike your blood sugar. However, the thing that really causes diabetes, in my opinion, and most people don't know about this, is when you eat a lot of meat, because you're actually having a spike in your insulin level for whatever reason. I've never understood why that is. You don't spike your blood sugar, but you spike your insulin. And the thing is there's what's called lipotoxicity. And what that means is the fat in animal fats, it attacks the islets of Langerhans, which is
In your pancreas.
in the pancreas, which is where you produce the insulin. And it's been shown there's a direct correlation between how much meat you eat and how much the percentage chance of diabetes in a culture. So I don't know why that's the case. I always thought it was the exact opposite, that the more meat you ate, the less you'd spike your blood sugar and you don't have to work your pancreas, but that's actually not the way it works.
Yeah, on Mercola's website they're talking about a study, and they say 40% of your energy as fat, mainly from animal sources and saturated. They lead to anything less than that 40% lead to a decrease in testosterone levels, according to that site. And they talk about branched chain amino acids, BCAA, from foods like whey protein. And then boosting your leucine consumption is another way to get beyond mere maintenance levels on testosterone.
So with that, I would say I don't fully agree with that first one, but Mercola is a smart guy. Maybe he knows something I don't. But
that's one study.
That's well, I don't know if that's a study or where he got that, but
we'll look into that one more. That's just some commentary on that. Intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is something that I didn't know much about when I was little, but it's natural in the environment for animals and for hunter-gatherers. That's if they're nomadic, there's or if they're stationary, if there's not a lot of nut trees around, like the tribe in Africa that eats the mongongo nuts all the time, they're going out and they're hunting. And so in the interim time, there might be time where they don't have food, so it's fasting, and that's normal for them. We're the people in the modern era that make such a big deal about having food and drink and calories all the time hitting our systems.
Yeah, I think we're actually designed to have that, and it actually is a healthy way of going.
Fasting we're designed for.
Fasting is a way of cleansing the body
and the mind.
And the mind. And I think that we're so used to anytime anybody's feeling any hunger, they start eating immediately, and they never have that down period. So
not good for your digestion either. If you're having digestive issues, or your acid in your blood is out of balance, high or low, fasting and just drinking water and relaxing is a wonderful way to balance out your pH. So consider fasting and learn about it. It didn't come easy for me. I had to start with my first fast, but once I learned, it made all the sense in the world, and I felt better, improved digestion, energy, etc. So don't have food in your bloodstream or in your stomach all the time. Fat adapted, that's something I didn't know about until more recently, and I am fat adapted despite not having a lot of excess looking fat on me. I do have fat, and I can tap into it, so when I get up in the morning, I'm not hungry usually, and I go out and I do an hour and a half to 2 hours of exercise, and I'm not hungry during that time, and I'm not hungry afterwards. So my body is going into that fat from the things that are being digested from the day before, and the fat in my body, and taking care of myself for quite a long time.
Wow.
You know about fat adapted?
No, that's surprising, because I'm obviously not fat adapted, because I wake up, I'm usually pretty hungry.
Mm-hmm. So,
especially if I eat, because I try and eat by 6:30,
yeah.
and so by the time I'm getting up in the morning and eating at say 8, it's been a long time.
I was a distance runner in the 80s, played 3 hours of tennis frequently and worked out, in the Nautilus and the weights and did cardio funk aerobics. I was doing hard stuff all the time in my 20s, and I'd wake up and before I'd go to these fun runs, 10Ks, that kind of thing, I would sometimes eat cereal and a banana, and that cereal and the banana didn't get digested by the time I was out on the course, and I could feel that stuff gurgling around in there, and so I wasn't fat adapted, far from it. And I'm not saying to not have some carbs and some food if you're running 10Ks if you need it, but I certainly was not fat adapted, and now I can go out and run. I ran a few months ago. I was out on a beach near here, and I felt good, and I ran for 2 hours, and that was with no food in myself, and I came back and I was done. Your stomach shrinks when you're doing athletic endeavors or hard work sometimes, and I wasn't hungry at the end, so I felt pretty darn good.
All right.
So you mentioned 3 key items that you talked about, pistachio nuts and some other items. Can you fill me in on that new information, the new strategy for testosterone and intimacy?
It's not for testosterone specifically. It's solely for libido and just ED. And what it is there were studies done with people taking tremendous amounts of pistachio nuts, and we're talking 3-4 ounces a day. That's a huge amount of pistachio. That's like a big giant handful of pistachio nuts, of already shelled pistachio nuts.
The best kind you can get your hands on.
And they were having tremendous response in terms of all of a sudden their longer erections, firmer erections, are all measured in this study. It was really off the chart. Everything was working well, and they weren't sure of the mechanism, but they were thinking it might be the Arginine, and Arginine is what makes nitric oxide, which is what makes for a firm erection. And then they thought maybe it's the antioxidants, but a lot of things have antioxidants, so it's probably not that. But so my guess is it's Arginine, but there are many other things that have Arginine, but somehow or another it works. The other thing is watermelon. It has a phytochemical or phytonutrient called, I think it's citrulene, and it breaks down. It does the exact same thing. It's just one step removed. It breaks down into Arginine and then into nitric oxide, and that's been shown to help. And you have to have a big amount of watermelon, but yellow watermelon, if you can find it, has 3 times more than normal watermelon. So
the red.
And then the last but not least, there was a study done in Bulgaria where they took all these patients with ED, and what they did is they gave them Arginine just in a pill form, and only 5% of them had any response. So it wasn't a very good response. But then what they did is they matched that up with Pycnogenol, which is just basically a bark, scrapings of a bark. And with that, 95% were all of a sudden able to have an erection again that originally didn't have it. So an amazing jump. So those are the 3 things: pistachio nuts, watermelon, and Arginine and Pycnogenol.
And that's from nutritionfacts.org?
Nutritionfacts.org has the citrulline / watermelon and also the pistachio nut discussion. You can go on to PubMed and look at, and just put in Arginine and Pycnogenol, and I don't know how you'd spell that, but it's Pycnogenol. And then there shouldn't be many studies, probably only about 2 or 3, but one of them in particular is the one I'm talking about.
So that's good news for all of you people that want a little pick-me-up in that area, and so why not? So check out some of these things, see what works for you. That's the main thing in this life. Don't take our word for it, see what works for you. But on the safety, take our word for it. Make sure you're fit before you're doing high-intensity interval training. So I'm Sifu Slim.
I'm Steve Abbey, over and out.
Peace be with you, brothers.
Peace be with you.